Welcome. I'm Rachel Chamness at Sound Waves Heal, and I love to help lightworkers open up their healing and their messaging, trance channeling, trance healing from higher dimensional beings, and really bringing that through to help others step into this space. I love to bring forward my partner guide, Alpar, and other beings of light that I love to trance channel. And I love to do that for other people as well. That's my passion. Welcome to 5D Channels and Chats with Rachel Chamness. As a shamanic channel and mentor, I'll be sharing wisdom and healing from higher dimensions through channeling beings of light. You will also hear liquid Reiki shamanic sound healing, channels between intuitives, and discussion on higher dimensional healing and channeling. You'll find links and more in the show notes, so be sure to check them. You can find me at soundwavesheal.com and my Facebook group, 5D Daily Spiritual Healers in Higher Dimensions. So today I am talking about fourth dimensional chakra, fifth dimensional chakras, and sixth dimensional chakras, and the other higher chakras as I see them. Let's just start there. We have the third dimensional chakras, which I will just assume that you know about. And if you don't, then you really should learn. I teach it in my Reiki 1 course. I also teach what I'm teaching today in my Reiki 1 course, because I consider a Reiki 1 course to be a great beginner course. Not only does it teach you a lot about chakras and healing and all kinds of things that you need to know as a spiritualist or as a healer, but it teaches you, of course, how to use the Reiki Ray, how to channel healing, which opens up your channeling. In many cases, opens up your psychic clairs for some, or over time, as you work with Reiki, it opens up your psychic clairs. And I love a good Reiki 1 course because it teaches you all the things, and it should. And so my psychic Reiki healing course does do all that. And I hope that if you've taken Reiki, that it should have all these things. So I'll assume that you all know about the 7 regular chakras, which is root chakra, sacral chakra, solar chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, and the third eye and the crown. So let's just add to that a little bit. Let's start below the feet. We have the Earth Star Chakra. It's about 3 feet below your feet ish, and it goes deep into the earth. And this is where you're really connecting to the 5th dimensional earth, to 5th dimensional Gaia. It's where you're connecting to 5D and 6D. If you're really doing a lot of up leveling, if you're a light worker who's been working on yourself, like those in my tag mentorship membership, then you will really be connecting deeper than 5D there. You'll be connecting to 6D, 7D, 8D, maybe more. But this is where you're connecting there. And when I look into people's chakra, and I'm clairvoyant, so I can see some things. And when I look there, what I can see in the Earth Star is usually an indication of what you're connecting to right now, or what wants to connect you. That's how I see it. Now, you might see it differently, but when I work on the Earth Star Chakra, that's kind of what I see. Like sometimes I see just a big new Earth sort of globe, or the chakra's round. So I see like sort of Earth there, or Gaia. Sometimes I see all of the Fae and elementals, like a big Fae Earth and all kinds of elementals there. Sometimes I see like a galaxy, people really deeply connecting to their starseed helpers, where they're at right now, to connect deep and connecting to the 5D grid, or that's the Earth Star Chakra. So the 4th dimensional High Heart Chakra is really the only 4th dimensional chakra that I know of and that we work with. So what is this? We have our heart chakra, big green chakra, all about love. And then above that is the High Heart Chakra. This 4th dimensional chakra is about self-love. And this is really the answer of how to work towards ascension, is being about self-love, is how you get to loving everyone and feeling love, or being able to send love to anyone or anything. Because let's really face it, and let's talk about it. We all know that when other people are really bothering us, or when other people are irritating us, or we don't like something about them, it's really about us, right? It's something we don't like about us, or it's something that we have a trigger for because we have been triggered about that, like lying, for instance. Lying is a little bit of a trigger for me. I don't like it at all. I really hate lying. That doesn't mean that's because secretly I'm a liar. I was able to shine a light on many things in my past where wasn't quite lying, but wasn't quite 100% honest. And I worked a lot on that when I first flipping over into this life of true spirituality. Like, where am I? Where are lies? A bit of that still lingers. The trigger there is really about me, my past with lying, people lying to me, or me feeling guilty about places where I discovered I wasn't as honest as I thought I was. us. And so all of that, how do I heal from that? It's from self-love. And so that's why the high heart, the 4D flip to 5D, which what that high heart is all about. Finding love for everyone starts with finding love for yourself. So all of that to say, when we are triggered by something, it's about us. So we need to forgive ourselves. And as we learn to love ourselves, as we learn to find that self-worth, find that self-love, our fourth dimensional high heart chakra grows. So what is the 4D? It's duality. It's love versus fear. So every time you choose love over fear for yourself and for others, that is growing that. And what I have been seeing lately is that the high heart chakra is growing, the heart chakra is growing, and they are coming together to become one chakra. So that is pretty cool. I've been seeing that for the past year. These two merging, they look like two suns kind of coming together, one pink and one green, the heart chakra. And that is something that I'm seeing more and more. Mila has a question. What is Fae? That is what I would call elementals, mystical beings. You might think of them, fairies, dragons, unicorns, mermaids, all of that. They exist in higher dimensional frequencies as spirit guides, just like other types of spirit guides. They're real, maybe not in 3D, but if you think of them like spirit guides, they are very helpful beings. Okay, so that's your high heart chakra. So to recap, stay in love, let it grow, forgive yourself so that you can stay in love and flip from this duality of where we're at in 4D of love versus fear to 5D. Let's talk about a 6D chakra that I've been seeing. I don't have a name for this chakra. It's a tangerine color, so I'm calling it that. It's a 6-dimensional lower chakra, and some people have talked about this and they might call it different, say it's a different dimension. That doesn't mean I'm wrong or they're wrong. This is only how I'm seeing it. I'm always just giving you information on how my spirit guides show me things and how I work on people and how that works for me. And if you see it slightly different, that's how it works for you. And one day you'll get the information on why you see it that way and how you're working it. And you'll see how it makes sense that these two things are both right. So don't worry if you see it slightly different. If I see it slightly different, that's just how this works. So the 6-dimensional lower chakra is a tangerine color. And what it is the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar chakra coming together to be one chakra. So when I am using liquid Reiki on someone, let's say that they're lying flat. Let's say they're lying flat in front of me. So you have these 3 chakras: root, sacral, solar. Now, right above the sacral, if you think of like a triangle, it's coming up to all 3 of those come into one chakra. And that's a tangerine color, a new chakra that we'll be getting in 6D. And what I do when I'm working on someone is I clear the chakras, especially these 3D chakras, and then I up level them to at least 5D. I can see that those who really work on themselves and those who are in tag where we connect as all kinds of grids and beings, I can really bring them higher, 6D, 7D, 8D. And people who work a lot on themselves and work on others, easily I can bring that up. So let's say that the person I'm working on, I'm just bringing them up to 5D. That's as high as I can bring these regular chakras up, but we still have this tangerine chakra 6D. Well, then I'm just opening or allowing that chakra to begin to open to be available for once we get to 5D, then that chakra will begin to start opening for everyone when we're truly in 5D. The tangerine chakra, what is it? It's just how we're growing, how we're changing, how our bodies are changing in a crystalline way. So these 3 chakras are very much about the 3D. So it makes sense that they would combine to be a higher chakra as we go to 5D. And what does it mean when I say I'm going to raise a vibration of 3D chakras for people? Does that mean I'm making them 5D? They're suddenly 5D, they're suddenly crystalline body? No. What it means is that I am bringing up their vibration so that each of these chakras can reach these vibrational frequencies, these densities in higher vibrational mind states. So that's what we're doing when we are astral traveling, when we're just meditating, when we are in that in-between state between sleeping and awake, when we are reaching those higher brain frequencies. That's where we can really go farther with our spiritual work. That's where we can receive information, hear things, see things, whatever it is. However we're getting information, you don't have to see to receive. Hearing things, understanding things, knowing things, feeling things, it all works. So as we bring these up to the 5th dimension or higher, that can be reached in those states. So you can go further as your chakras are up leveled. So that's what I love to do. I do that in every session. So the tangerine is above. I would just open that to allow it to open as it would. Now, if I'm working on someone where I can bring these lower 3 chakras, they for me, they always come to the same space. So if I bring up the root chakra and I can get it to 5D, but then I can bring up the sacral chakra to 6D, then I know that the root chakra come up more. So I'll go back and bring that up to 60. Then I come to the solar chakra and bring it up to 60. Now, if that went to 70, then I know I can come back down and do those first two back up to 70. They'll all come to the same frequency for me. And then once we are able to bring it above 60, I can really open that tangerine lower chakra. And I don't know what it's called. So Triada is asking, is that like the Dantian? I don't know. I don't know the words because I haven't learned this from someone. I've only learned it from my spirit guide. So I only see it in the way that they show me. And Kamisha asks, are these chakras able to be unbalanced? If so, how do we balance them and how do we notice imbalance? That's more of a 3D question about the 3D chakras. Yes. So the 3D chakras definitely become unbalanced and need to be cleared often. And so the 5D, these higher dimensional chakras, they don't really become that unbalanced except for the 4D. The 4D high heart chakra can be unbalanced. But when I see 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D chakras, they're really more about opening them up. They don't often seem to have an unbalance or problem in them like I see the 3D chakras. They're really more about opening people to these higher frequencies as they're growing. When you're a healer in this time, that's what you're doing, is you're helping people come into this higher frequency that we need to be in. They become a little unbalanced, but that's really infrequent. Most of the time, you're just sort of combining it, opening it, letting it flow so that people can reach those states, so that when their body hits that dimension, that chakra's just beautiful and waiting for them to use, or they can use it in their astral traveling. That's a good question. How would we notice if they're unbalanced? I don't know that you would. I think you would feel a little bit off. And anytime you feel a little off or unbalanced is a great time for a spiritual session, a healing from a healer, Reiki session, or something that I do, liquid Reiki, one of my clients that I teach how to do this, or I would always recommend, because I love when people combine giving messages with giving healing. And I teach that everywhere. Everything I do, I'm always teaching those two things to go together, or how to get, if you learn one, how to get to the other one. I would just say, if you are feeling a little off, then maybe you need a clearing. Okay, so let's go a little bit higher in the body. The back of the head is another 6D chakra. This is the Alta major chakra. I want to clarify again that not everyone sees these chakras in the same dimension or have the same words for them. So the Alta major chakra, this is a pretty regular word for this chakra. And the way that I see this chakra is that it's an astral travel chakra. We're using this chakra to astral travel. And there's another one that I'll talk about that we also use. And so I usually clear this up, unplug it from the 3D matrix, and then I plug it into another chakra that we'll talk about in a minute, called the Time Transcendence Chakra. I think some people might call it the 8th chakra, but I call it the Time Transcendence Chakra. And that's another astral travel chakra we'll talk about. And so I plug these two together and unplug people from the matrix. And that seems to be good. And then I give it some clearing, and that usually works. So Ludmila asked, what's liquid Reiki? That's what I call my healing. It is a mixture of master Reiki. It's Reiki, light language, and trance healing, meaning that I trance channel all the healing from higher dimensional beings, but I use my voice because I used to be an opera singer. People say it feels like liquid, so I call it liquid Reiki. But I also give certifications in liquid Reiki as well, and it is different for everybody. Whatever is your strength, it comes out that way. So let's talk about the chakra above the crown. The chakra above the crown, so you have the crown chakra here, and then about 12 inches above is the soul star chakra. This is a 5D chakra, the soul star chakra, and this is where the seat of the soul is. So this is where your soul resides. It cannot fit everything into this body, this 3D body. So the soul star chakra holds all of your memories, your past lives, holds all this information that's basically in amnesia, earthly amnesia, as we live here. So as we live in Earth, as we come to Earth, we take this like amnesia pill, sort of. It's beyond the veil, right? We go through the veil and we leave all our memories behind. And as we become more spiritual, those memories come back into the body. Now, we can't hold them all. So sometimes that's why you remember something and then you forget it. You dream about it and it goes away. You have that amazing realization and then it's gone. It's hard to hold it all in the body. They're very high frequency memories. And we are not that high frequency in 3D, even though we're 4D kind of getting there. We're still not high frequency enough, but we can take some of them. So I feel like it kind of cycles. Some of that information comes through, we bring it into the body, we remember things from sessions or past life realizations, or as we up level ourselves, we kind of get that information more into our body. And that's where it's coming from, the soul star above the head. And the soul stars are really beautiful chakra. If you can see it, I see a lot of magenta and navy. There's a lot of angels associated with it as well. We have Zadkiel, Muriel. A lot of times I see unicorns there. I mean, it's just a beautiful place. And really, that's where your soul is. But there's more about your soul, and we'll talk about that in a second. So I'm just going kind of how I see them. So above that, what I see is the Causal chakra, which is another 5D chakra. Again, people have different names for the Causal chakra, the 5D chakra there. And this chakra I see as a pure divine balance. So balance of the divine masculine, balance of the divine feminine. It's divine balance. And people see it doing different things. But when I work on people, mostly what I see here is there any toxic femininity? Is there any toxic masculinity that needs to be worked on? Any kind of shadow work associated with these two things that needs to be released? That's where I would release it. That's the kind of shadow work I would work on there in that space. So I would clear that, balance it, bring in divine masculine, bring in divine feminine, get it going. And then I'm starting to see this causal chakra move. So every other chakra is in line with the spine above and below, except for the causal chakra. I see it. It does look sort of like a moon. They're all sort of circular, but to me, it looks a bit like that. And it's often to the side. So if you think of a clock, it would be more between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock. When I'm working on people, that's how I see them. It could be reversed since I'm looking at them in my mind's eye, my third eye, as if they're in front of me. If it's distance, which is mostly how I work, or if they're literally in front of me, then so I see if it's 12 and 3 as I'm looking at them. I notice that as people get very advanced, like the more advanced light workers that I work on, because I work on many masters and advanced masters, because I teach that from beginner to masters, and then I continue to help those in that space. So I see it starting to move to the 2 o'clock position or the 1 o'clock position, or even 12:30, getting closer and closer as we're getting closer to ascension. So I see these in advanced light workers. What's an advanced light worker? An advanced light worker is just someone who's working on others to advance them to their light working space like I do. And I would just say it is attainable for anyone to be advanced. It's being part of the 144,000 light workers who help other light workers come to that space. And being advanced means that you're always advancing. And being a beginner means you're always advancing. We're always advancing further. There's always more for us to learn, and staying in that space to be open so that you're always learning. That's so important. So that's what I would call the 5D causal chakra. Now let's talk about the 5D time transcendence chakra. For me, it's above the soul star chakra, above the causal chakra, and this is an astral travel chakra. Now it's a little bit different than the way that I see the Alta major behind the head. We talked about that as an astral travel chakra as well, but this one is a little bit different. What I see here is that we travel through this chakra in our dreams to go to alternate realities, to go to other places, and not just in our dreams, but in higher meditation states. I see that we travel with a being usually. So there's several beings that you can travel with in your dreams. You could be traveling with a dragon or a unicorn. I see that a lot, or an angel or a spirit guide, but someone is helping you travel so that you are still connected to your body in some way. And that's not really something you should worry about. You're well protected. Going to these places, figuring these things out. So I really think that dreams are alternate realities. Sure, they could be some psychological thing you're figuring out in your head, but many times they are traveling, they're learning on other planes. And I believe that the reason they become so jumbled, they make sense while you're there, but when you try to explain them, you try to think about them when you're back here, is because they're not 3D. And once we try to smash it in that 3D box, it just doesn't work. And when we try to explain it, it doesn't make sense. And when we try to put it into words, it's like we can't, right? Above 3D, it's not so much about words. It's more about telepathy and clairvoyance and understanding things in a different way, that when we try to put it in 3D words, when we try to put it in 3D making sense or thoughts, it just doesn't work. So I think that's really what's happening in our dream state. So like I said earlier, I like to make sure that this time transcendence 5D chakra is fully connected to the Alta major chakra, which is 60 behind the head. I think that's very helpful. And that's just something my guides show me to do. So that's what I do. I'm happy to share all this and hope it helps you with your healing as well. And then above that is a stellar gateway. This is our ascension chakra. It is a beautiful chakra that is guarded over by Archangel Metatron. This is our ascension gates, basically. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything wrong with the ascension gateway. It's just there, and I'm just giving it some Reiki, shining it up, making sure it's big and beautiful and waiting for you. It's just one of those chakras that we just sort of give some attention to, but doesn't always need healing. Causal chakra can use healing, and the time transcendence chakra can use healing too, because the time transcendence chakra can get a rip. If there's a tear in the time transcendence chakra, that's what causes horrible nightmares that feel real. Like that is from astral traveling where something's happened to cause a tear. And I teach how to heal that in my Psychic Reiki level 2. I think it's really important. But the stellar gateway chakra is really about your ascension gate. So I see Archangel Metatron, and I also see Archangel Daniel there. He's also there. A lot of times I see other angels there as well. And you can have beings there too. Like I've seen Serapis Bey, I've seen the Divine Director. So what's above the stellar gateway? Now we're going to get pretty weird, because this is, again, not something I've learned somewhere, but this is what my guides have taught me. I see a chakra above that, and I have a funny name for it. So let's see. I call it the 6D me chakra. And the reason that I call it that is because it is a chakra where I see lots of different versions of the client. So it's like different higher selves. Now, of course, we have one big higher self, one big soul, and an oversoul, which is like a combination of you and many other beings, which are other parts of you, like your spirit guides. It gets complicated. But this 6D me chakra, as I call it, is where I see like your higher galactic self or your higher angelic self, like your higher self in different forms. And I don't really look that deeply into it. I just sort of give it a clear and give it some energy. I don't usually see anything wrong with this chakra, but it's right there. And above that, I see the monad star. So I'm sure that you've heard of this before, or maybe not. The monad star, this is like where your soul is connected to the other souls that you travel with, your soul family. This is usually 144 souls together, is what I believe. There's a lot of 144 out there, 144,000, 144 in the monad star. You could believe something different or get something different. That's fine. And these are all the souls that you're with. So your soul family is really maybe a little bit different than you think. It includes all of your spirit guides. If you're trans channel like me and you trans channel all different kinds of guides and beings, like in my classes, we trans channel all different types of beings so that we can really see where our talent lays. And I think that we all have the ability to do that. So if you're trans channeling all different kinds of beings, all of those beings that you trans channel, all those that came forward, they're part of your soul guide. That means that you once were your angelic spirit guide. And even if you're like, well, how could I be Archangel Metatron? Like he's a big deal. Everybody has, Archangel Michael or Archangel Metatron, like he's so popular. How could that be? Because you're knowing a lot of people who are in that 144,000. It's kind of like it's like your group. You see these people around because they're circling in your field here on Earth. They're part of that. This is where your soul group lies, in the monad star. Now, above that, I see all kinds of things. Okay, so once I get up there, and these are all the chakras that I clear in a session. There's a few minor ones I'll talk about. The other higher chakras above that are always different. So here's where I see 2 to 3, maybe sometimes 4 other chakras above here. Now, this does not line up with anything like I see higher chakras on people who are just really amazing. They're much better light workers than everyone else. They're so advanced. It's not like that at all. And in fact, please throw away like advanced light workers being anything more than a light worker who's worked longer than you and has gone deeper than you have at this moment. That's all. We can all reach all of these states and we can all learn so much. There's nobody higher than anyone else. It's just more experience. That's it. The advanced light workers work on the Lightworkers coming up. We're the 144,000 Lightworkers, so it's not that big of a deal. So I see other higher chakras here, and they can be on anyone, the very beginner or the advanced. And these are just, well, I'm not really sure what they are. I don't spend a lot of time looking at them because I just give them a clear, because I don't think that this is like the most important part of the session. I just am led to it, so I open it. And what I see is things like an angelic chakra for some people, where there's just like a whole lot of angelic energy. You must have been an angel several times or really had a life as an angel being. Although I think we all have, because we have angels in our monad star and our soul family, right? So when we have that, we've been an angel because they are us, we are them, we are all each other. But I think there's a deeper level of that where you're truly living that life. So I think there's a difference between all these beings being in your field and you have experienced their lives as them because you were maybe their spirit guide. And so you kind of got it secondhand versus firsthand, where right now you're experiencing this life as you. And so you really have, this is going to be your future past life. Does that make sense? And you really know this life. And I feel like if you have this angelic chakra up here, which is around 12D or more, this is a chakra where you have truly lived these deep lives as angels. So, or you have so much angelic support, you're about to, like, that might be your next life, which sounds crazy. Just mere mortals that we could be angels too. And then I see other ones up there. Sometimes I see angelic, sometimes I just see them and I just clear them. But I see the 3 or so up there. I usually just tell people what I see in the session and I clear those. So those are all the higher chakras, 4D, 5D chakras that I see, 6D and more. And I love to teach about it. This is part of what I teach in my Reiki 1. I also just want to say that when I clear the chakras, I clear all of these that I talked about, and I clear the 7 in the body, and I clear some minor chakras here, ear chakras. They are to help your clairaudience. So usually when I clear one, I clear this side, whatever that is, of me looking at that side, mirrored. And as soon as I clear that side, this side clears really fast. And I clear just anything else I can find in the body. So why clear all of these chakras if not all of them have any problems with them? Like we talked about, you can sometimes find problems in the Causal or the time transcendence or the Earth Star. You can definitely the High Heart, 4th dimensional, but the rest are really just giving it energy, because as you give all of these higher dimensional chakras energy, you're enabling this client of yours, this person that you're working on, to reach higher dimensions. And if we can reach those higher dimensions in sleep and meditation and sound healing and work that we're doing for others and trance channeling and channeling, then we can understand these concepts from above, that of these high dimensional concepts. They can really help us go forward, and they can really help us understand this earth, because this earth is hard. This life is hard. And as we come into spirituality and become knowledgeable and all of this work, then we can really see things from a higher perspective, and that can really help us go forward. I hope that this answered your questions about the higher chakras. I hope that this helped you kind of think about it so that you can really look at these in your next session that you're working on someone. And please remember that if you want to become advanced, the most important thing to do is practice. It's not just about the attunement or more attunements or attuning to this, or when I do this, then I'll be good enough. It's about using what you have now and really working on it so that your guides can up-level you. How did I learn how to do all the things I do? Most of the stuff that I teach, no one taught me, no one on earth. I was taught by my spirit guides. I was taught by beings of light who wanted me to bring the information forward. And so that's what I'm doing. I usually only teach this in my Reiki class, but I thought this would be really great for everyone to know. If you want to learn more, I teach so much in Reiki. It's called Psychic Reiki Healing. And if you go to my website, soundwavesheal.com/Reiki, you can see all the things that I teach. I really go for it. They are video classes with a 1-to-1 attunement, either on Zoom or in person. I don't do distance attunements in any other way. You have to be there live on Zoom, or you have to come in Knoxville to get your attunement. But you can also do a refresh if you don't want another attunement. But I always think that more attunements open you up more. And I think it's important too, who attunes you. I believe that my students get a little of my flavor when I attune them, get a little more Fey elemental soul connections or galactic connections or get a little more psychic opening. That's my intention. And I think it does work. So I just love to teach it. I love to see other people teach it. I love to help my students teach classes too. I like to teach the teachers. It's like my favorite thing to do. Thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you for listening today. Please follow this podcast, like, subscribe if you haven't already. We would love to have you in our Facebook group 5D Daily. And be sure to sign up for my free Channeling Spirit Guides program, which you can find under resources at soundwavesheal.com. I am Rachel Chamness, and it's my pleasure to help Lightworkers expand their channeling to heal in higher dimensions.